Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, His Excellency Minister Bashtoon. I'm very honored and privileged to be part of this summit. Before continuing to my presentation, I would like to mention that based on the nature of our presentation, I think we're well suited for the economic development and capacity building panel, but we also fall under the ISAF CG4 logistics division, so we can also be included in the logistics panel. But I would like to thank Major General Field for setting the lines for our presentation by reiterating on the importance of capacity building in the private sector in Afghanistan, because that's what most of our activities are directed towards. Just to give a brief background of our office, the ISAF signed contacting guidance, and NATO also adopted the Afghan First policy, which then resulted in CG4 establishing the ISAF contracting economic enterprise cell. And as a result, Afghanistan Enterprise Development and Advisory was established, aimed at working directly with Afghan businesses. We understand that NATO and ISAF is one of the largest contributors in the construction sector in Afghanistan, and that it's more likely that with the drawdown of the troops by 2014, it might affect some businesses in Afghanistan, especially construction and logistics, and that's why it's important that we use this 2 or 3 year period to use ISAF and NATO contracting as a catalyst to build a robust Afghan construction industry where they not only dependent on the contracting efforts, but they also have those entrepreneurial skills that they can invest in alternative projects and create jobs. Major challenges involved in doing business and contracting with NATO and ISAF that we have understood through our communication with Afghan businesses is that in some cases there's a complete absence of understanding of the contracting and procurement systems of the international organization, specifically when it comes to NATO and ISAF and US4A. That lack of understanding is as basic as they don't know where to look for RFPs or how to write a proposal and stuff like that. Communication is another major challenge when it's language communication, or it's lack of use of information communication technology. Some companies don't even have access to internet to submit their proposals or to find RFPs. And major challenge with Afghan, mainly small and medium enterprises, is that they lack contemporary business skills when it comes to project management, to marketing, financing, and sometimes they also complain about subcontracting or flipping of contracting. There's a difference that a lot of them lack the understanding that subcontracting is something that is good for a project. It increases quality and reduces the cost. However, the major reason the flipping of contracts is something we need to work with the company and make them understand. Flipping a contract means that the cost increases and that the quality of the project reduces. And flipping of the contracts also mostly happens because a lot of Afghan companies, they have the capacity to implement the project, they have all the resources, the machinery, but they lack the administrative understanding of the procurement system to bid directly for a project and get awarded as a prime contractor. So what they do, they look for companies that have better skills in procurement processes and just work with them to receive the contracts as second hand or third hand. There's another challenge that Afghan companies face while doing business with NATO and ISAF. Contracts inside the wire and there are contracts outside the wire. It's easier to implement a project with outside the wire, with outside the military base, for Afghan companies especially. But more difficult when the contracts are inside the base, because then they don't have to only deal with the contracting offices, but also at the same time with different other entities, security measures and other budget requirements and all that, which increases the bureaucracy, which they already have very little resources to deal with when it comes to contracting. So these are the areas that we have identified, and we know that these are the major things that Afghan companies, those who have not been able or have been less able to work with contracting offices of NATO and ISAF have faced before. Our AEnDA mission is that we work with NATO and ISAF primarily, but we would also like to extend our services to other organizations, is to facilitate the implementation of Afghan First policy and mainly work with small and medium-sized enterprises on the communication side or the capacity building side to increase their access to contracting opportunities. Just to give you a brief moment to go over the main objectives we have to facilitate implementation of the Afghan First policy. And Afghan First for us does not mean working with individual companies, so that the individual company can go and get a contract with the company outside there, thinks that, okay, I'm a company and I'm Afghan, so where's the Afghan First program? But we would rather have a more systematic approach towards capacity building to increase the pool of Afghan vendors who are capable and eligible to work with any international organization, NATO, ISAF, to be able to bid properly for the project, get awarded, and also post-award activities, be able to implement the project in the manner that is required. These are the main services we provide for international donors and Afghan vendors. And by the way, to contracting guidance of ISAF and NATO Afghan First policy, there are some great ideas included in that, which we think if we could help and support that and implement that, it's going to be a good achievement for the business community in Afghanistan. That's spreading the wealth, removing barriers to market entry, and that means specifically the contracting market entry. Conduct better, more transparent bidding, work with those vendors who work for the best interest of Afghanistan, and also in some cases to break monopolies. Industrial growth sectors that we mainly work with is the construction sector, infrastructure maintenance, which we think is going to be the next big market after all the construction. They need to be maintained. Agriculture, education, healthcare, and telecommunication. And if we have a quick look at these sectors, we understand that they are all directly or indirectly related to construction. And we understand that construction is a sector that for most cases does not provide permanent jobs, but it's directly related to 8 or 9 different sectors that do provide permanent jobs and create employment in Afghanistan, which is badly needed. So therefore it's the central focus of us to work with construction, and we're looking forward to support and more suggestions from different organizations, both the private and the public sector, to better tailor our services and needs that can serve your needs better. the afternoon. Table is number 26. Looking forward to answering your questions and hearing more about what you think we can do to better serve your needs. Thank you very much.